Alright, welcome back to Lesson 4, Part 3, where you're going to learn how to use the Shatter Effect, which is similar to the effect you learned in Lesson 4, Part 2, Pixel Poly, but this one has more options and is more likely to be used for better looking turnouts for a Shatter Effect. This last lesson will help you combine with what you've learned for Lesson 4, Part 1 and 2 to do your project for your first product grade, which will be a self-explosion scene. You'll see more about that after you're done with this lesson. Alright, so first thing, let's go to open up After Effects from scratch, and once it opens, we'll close the welcome window. Okay, and then let's get started right away. So go to your project panel, import, navigate to your basic training footage folder, your raw footage, and look for this grunge textured wall. It's called grunge 10. Grab that and we'll import it. If you don't have this in this folder, check your land school folder to move it over here to import it. So grunge 10 comes in. We're going to do a really quick demonstration on this effect so that you can use it for your project for Lesson 4. Take the grunge layer and drop it right on the Make Comp button. It'll create a comp the exact size of the wall. And let's select the grunge layer in the composition, go to Effect, Simulation, and then down to Shatter. We'll do a shatter here. Now at first you're going to see your brick wall turn into this see-through ray trace kind of a thing. What we're going to do is change in the shatter from the effects controls, the view, from a wireframe to rendered, so you can actually see your bricks. Now before we look into all these various things that you can do in this shatter effect, grab your current time indicator and scrub it and you'll see that it breaks up into bricks. Now what is cool about this breaking up into bricks is that these are bricks, so that we can match shapes to the actual bricks themselves and make it look more real. There's also more options here with force and extrusion and things like that that are not in the more simple pixelate poly effect that you used in the last lesson. So in Shatter, we got it rendered. Go to Shape. You'll notice that bricks is the pattern. There's actually quite a few different shapes you can use for the shattering here instead of only 2 in the other effect. The repetitions is the number of items. So I'm going to increase it a little bit to try to make the brick about the same size as the actual brick. Now you can use the origin to adjust its positioning. I find it may be a little easier to grab this handle and move it around until it's sitting right on bricks. A little bit larger, which is actually bringing it down in number, maybe 8. Seems to match up most of the bricks pretty well. So now when we look at this, the bricks themselves seem to be blowing out of the wall. So that's a little more versatility. As far as the extrusion depth, if you scrub out to about middle of your explosion and you add more depth, you'll get thicker bricks, which is more realistic because bricks are thick. And now they look sort of 3D. So that kind of covers most of what's here. The direction that they go, you can change as well, but we don't want to do that, so Control Z, leave that at 0. So now I'm pretty happy with the way the bricks are lined up on the bricks with the origin and repetitions, and then the depth we added. Under Force 1, you can actually do a few things as well. For example, where the actual exploded items are going is one thing you can do. The Control Z, the depth of the explosion is how far out they explode. So you can have them explode kind of casually, just out of the wall. Or if you lower that number, you can make them blow much further out of the wall. So that's kind of nice with the amount of force from the force that's created. The radius is how big the circle is. You can blow up the entire wall by increasing the radius, or you can actually decrease the radius and make it a small section of the wall that gets blown out. So that has some control on that as well. I'm going to put the radius back to most of the wall. Okay, and then strength is how far they push out. If the strength is low, it means the force was low, then they just sort of fall to the ground like a big heap. Too much force, and they just kind of go flying out like the biggest hit ever hit them. I'm going to keep it a little lower at about 7 or 8. Probably closer to 6-ish. And yeah, it looks pretty good there. So force, that's pretty important, along with the shape. If you'd also open the physics, you'll learn a few extra things. The rotation speed. Each brick is rotating a little. If I increase that speed, now the bricks rotate a lot more as they're spinning. I think that looks kind of phony, so I'm going to keep it down about 0.2. We get light rotation. Also, gravity is pretty important. If you make the gravity heavier, then when they blow out, they just kind of go straight to the ground, which looks a little phony. If I make the gravity 0, then the bricks kind of expand everywhere in all directions. Bricks are kind of heavy, so I would assume gravity would play in on them. So I'm going to put the gravity at about almost 3. And let's go a little higher, maybe about 4. And now the bricks fly out, but do go down, kind of based on their weight. The gravity direction means you could actually make them go in a different direction. So maybe up and out to the side. Increase it some more. Now they're going to kind of go up, which is weird because that would be no gravity at all, and that looks strange. So I'm going to put the gravity direction back to 0. And that's kind of mostly what you need to know to function this particular effect. You could add lighting as well to make the wall look a little, I don't know, more like it's in sunlight instead of a dark alley. And I can increase the light intensity. You can also change the light color should you choose to, but that doesn't look real. So I'll leave the light intensity up just a little bit. Alright, so again, lighting, physics, force, and shape all should be used when using the shatter effect. Of course, you could use others if you wanted to keep playing more, but this is pretty good. So make sure you save this lesson to your Lesson 4 folder. Lesson 4 Part 2. This is Lesson 4 Part 3. Hit save, and now I have this file in there. And that's pretty much it. You're going to use the knowledge from these 3 lessons to create your project for the end of Lesson 4. We'll see you back for Lesson 5 after that project's over.